Hi everyone, this is a continuation of the Laravel series on how to create your app, how to create custom commands, how to read a CSV, and now we're going to see how to store the CSV data that we obtained on the previous video in a database with Laravel. All right, let's get going. We are on the same spot where we left it on the previous video, so you can go watch the previous videos if you don't know how we got to where we are. And what we're going to do now is we have a command that lets us import a given CSV from a path. We have this file here on the desktop, and we're going to now continue. So we get the contents of the file, we explode the content with this symbol that means break it into lines. Then we see that the data for each of the rows in the CSV has this structure. So we have the individual components, the timestamp and your name and your location being one. You can see it here, right? So this is the structure of that CSV file. And then we display the data. We're like breaking those values here per line, and then we display them on screen. So for now, what we can do is that we can run that command. So PHP artisan import CSV and the path. We run it, and then it says importing that file, and we print the name and the location of each participant. So what we're going to do now to continue is we're going to make another loop like this one, but now instead of displaying the data, we're going to be storing it on a database. And we could actually do that here as well, but we're going to keep it separate for now. So we're printing here, and maybe what we can do is by looking at this list here is just assign a variable to each of our values or parameters on the form. One cool thing here is that if I can click Command P and then put the caret, right? So we can run this command that says transform to lowercase. And when I click that everything changes to lowercase. And because we have the index here already, I'm going to assign this to values and then the index, and then that's it. We can do this as well, and now we'll just have to edit a few names. So here, location, bio, this is a short bio, image, and links. So we can remove this part, and then these are all values, right? We can test this by printing. So we can do here this info and then the timestamp, and maybe we get also the name, and again, as before, we get the location. So let's take a look. Yeah, so we're actually printing this twice. So let's make here a spacing. So we do here new line, I think, maybe. Yeah, and we're gonna remove this here. We don't really need the timestamp. Okay, yeah, so we're getting the same thing in both places. This means that this is working, and I'm gonna use a framework that I have open sourced myself, have been developing for many years. It's called Laravel Folio. This framework is the framework behind my website, Very Simple Websites, and many other websites that are online and that you can check and you can use on your own sites. It runs Laravel and it's open source. All right, what I was saying is that we're using Folio here, and I'm not going to get into details how this is used or anything, but just I'm going to say that we have a database behind this website that is some database behind here. I think it's this one, and we're just going to be creating folio items. So these are entries on a database that we have our application here. You can see on a previous video how we put the application to be running in there. So I already have an application that is empty, right? That is here is running, and it has a few things on the database. So what I'm trying to do is actually to populate this participants list, which I made that is fake, with the information that we were showing before. The idea is this database, for example, I put here James Caan second, right? Like this will show up in here. So it's a dynamic database that we can put here nonotest, and that will show here. So the idea is let's try to make new items to appear here and display them on the same page. So for that, I'm gonna go here, and the only thing how maybe I can explain a bit with Laravel Tinker how this works. So if I were to run Tinker here, so Laravel Tinker is like the PHP repo, I can create new Laravel items. What we need to do to keep going with this part is that we need to go to an application that actually has Folio running that I prepared for this video. And we're going to open it as well with Visual Studio Code. In this case, we'll have our Folio application, and we can also open our console.php file as we were doing before. We'll go to the bottom of this and paste our work in progress command. So we're going to go to the other application, and what I'm going to do quickly is simply go copy this new command and copy it to the other application. So now in this application, we can test the same command that we were running here, which is, well, that one runs on the other app. So it's working, so we can close this application. So we can use here the item class, which is a class that is, as you can see here, defined inside of non-ISP Folio models item. And this class, every time we create an item, we have an item with its own properties. So we can do here item and then print the item, maybe item title, which is null. And if we create a new item and actually add properties to it, we can save it, and that will create a new entry on our database. So now we can do this part where we define a new item. We say that the new item title is nono test 01. We can even define, for example, the sample text. Let's see if that works. And now we'll do item save. You can see that if I don't run the save command, that doesn't show up here yet. But if I run it, then this is actually showing up here. This might fail, so it's an empty post. Let's put, for example, the publication and go back there. So this comes up, and now I'm going to say no test item, right? What we can do with Laravel, we can do, for instance, item all, right? And then I get a list of all of the items. So I could say items all, and then the first one, and then maybe get its title, right? My home title. Or we can find by item ID. So this is item 9, and I can do here. So we do item is going to be new item, and now we're going to set the title to something new, and now we're going to save it, right? So there's going to be item 10, and it's here at the bottom, but now it does show the something new text. All right, so this is good. We can create items. This is what I wanted to test. And now what we need to do is go to our actual command and create a command that is going to create the one item per participant. So we're going to be here. We don't need this anymore. And just to make sure I don't forget, we're going to work only in English. So we're going to set the app set locale to English. So we localize everything just to English. And in here, we're going to create a new item per participant on the Google form. So let's maybe move this so you can see better. So it's going to be like item is going to be new item, and the item title is going to be the participant's name, and we're just going to save it. And we're going to see a lot. Let's do tags string is going to be participant, and we're going to do retag with item tags string to make sure we have the tags, and then we can retrieve all of the items that are participants. All right, so we don't see anything else here, but we're going to run this command. So we're going to exit here and read the CSV form. All right, so we do that, then we get an error. We actually need to retag after we save the item and it's created on the database. So we actually need to have some text, at least if empty. So we'll do item, I think text, something like that. Let's actually use the bio and rerun this command. All right, so now we can see the latest participants here, and that now works. All right, so we have the tags here. We have the login bio as the text, and then the title as the name of the person. And the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to make sure that we remove all existing participants before we create new ones. That way we won't have repeating participants in this app. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, my participants are all the items with any tag that is going to be participant. And then we get those, and then we print the quantity. So count participants. So we're going to do that. That's going to be the first thing we do. So we're going to comment this out or remove it. So we have 14, and you can see that we keep creating. So there are more. And what we're going to do now is we're going to delete them. So we're going to go and say for each participants as participant, we're going to say participant force delete, and that's it. And we actually need to delete the participants versions and all their stuff. So I'm going to copy some code that I have here before I do that. delete item. So I actually have a helper function already. So I'm going to go down to participant, and just to tell you, I'm just going to remove the participant, and I remove something I need to remove. So I just put this here. And if we go to the delete item function, what we provide here is an item. So we have one of those items we showed. We go for all of the properties that are existing, that we can add multiple properties here. So we'll remove all the versions on the system, and then we'll remove the tags and also the item itself. We need to set the item, so the published at the current date. So we'll run this once again, and we get the participants. So we get this view with the participants. We don't get the images anywhere, but we have the participant information. So there are no more responses here. So I'm just going to submit 1 or 2 more so we see more information on the form itself. Peter Jones or Maggie Smith, and the location would be Spain, for instance, and Lauren Ipsum. So this would be the long bio, right? So we have so I go to preview, and this is going to be Madrid, Spain, that one, an image, Stalgan fake, somebody that doesn't exist, this person, maybe Stalgan can be a last name, and we'll add a file. So we'll put this file here. All right, so we submit that. So now we have 4 pieces of information in our form. I can go here and see that's been submitted, and I can now download the response, and we just have to replace that form that we have on the desktop with this one. So I go to the desktop, place it, and now when I rerun my command, now you see there's somebody else on the list, and that actually is indeed updating here as well. So this is a start, but I want to make this a bit more complete. And now we have this information here. What we're going to do next, now that we have this working, is that for each participant, right, every time that we make the participant, right, like for example, I can go here and I have the participant there. You can see this is item 59. We're not going to optimize now to keep the numbers. These are deleted and new ones are created afterwards. So you can see that here. So if I create again, you can see now that this is 63, right? That's not great, but it's how it's going to work right now. And what I want to do is that we're going to also add some properties. So we have some code to do that here. We can create the properties, set property value. So what we're going to do is that also after we save the item, so we're going to do set property value, and we're going to set the location property to location. So we rerun this command. So after we rerun this command, we can go to an item, and now we can see that there is a location with the value of the actual location from the form that we had remotely. What this allows us to do now is to store all of the values from the Google form inside of our property values. So we can have here everything that we said before. So we can say, now we have these things here. Let's take this to another file to edit it faster. So I'm going to do here. So for this, we'll just set this like that. And for this, we'll just set this like this. And maybe this is short bio. Okay, this is a mistake here. All right. So we paste this here. So now we're setting all of these properties. Maybe we can respect the name, the order of the form. And now I'm going to run this. And when we go back here, we have, for example, here, all of the properties as individual properties here. So now I can go to my participant list, and I can see that this already populates on the proper place because I had that convention on my template where we get the name here, the bio, the location, and the time, which right now it's non-existent. And yeah, so that adds the support for what we wanted to do with this video. So we have all of the parameters that we just downloaded from the CSV file. We've loaded here, and we can see that if we were to change here anything from this form or even make maybe additions, John Stalgan or Peter King. So we can change cities here, Barcelona or Ria or something. We have these things. Hey, Ibsen. And now as we run our command once again, everything is updated and we get the new fields on the place where they have to go. So we edit this thing, we see that each item has its properties or values from the Google form in the right place. We've loaded into a database, we can update them, and even here, right, if we see, for example, the location or the name of Lex Friedman or something, we could say, okay, here's an updated bio for Lex. Okay, so this was a hands-on coding video on how you could load information from CSVs and break it down and then create database items with that information that we obtained from a Google form initially, but you could have obtained from any CSV source with Laravel and PHP. Thanks a lot for watching. It was Nono here, and I'll see you next time. There's a bunch of videos that cover how to create a Laravel app, how to create Laravel commands, how to serve Laravel applications, and there is a previous video on how to actually load the contents of a CSV file and parse it. Thanks again. See you soon.